to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we open the floor for any public comments on our agenda items this evening. Do we have any public comments on our agenda items? Having no comments, we will yield the floor to the superintendent for the facility update.
Thank you. So tonight we prepared a brief presentation that Mr. Rogers and I will present on just what we've done in the past 2 summers with our referendum dollars to improve our facilities and some of the upgrades that we've improved, as well as go over what an overview of our design and the projects for this summer, and then just our plans for the future with a 5-year plan and just ongoing facility and classroom updates. So and if you look at each slide, you will see that we've identified what projects were done with referendum dollars and what projects were done with non-referendum dollars. So they've been quoted at the bottom, so you can see an approximate total that's there. So I'm going to pass the presentation on to Mr. Rogers, who will share with us some of our previous updates.
Okay, so yeah, just a brief update on 2017 referendum projects. The biggest projects that we did were air conditioning projects at our school, at Diamond Lake and Fairhaven, and then the electronic key card access, which really improved our security in the buildings, and staff restrooms and landscaping. So 2017 was, the hallways at West Oak. This is really just dipping our feet into the start of the referendum project. Then last year is when we really hit the bulk of the first stage of our projects. All of our staff restrooms were the biggest projects we did. The Diamond Lake Gymnasium and Diamond Lake roof replacement were the biggest ticket items on there. We also improved our security by doing cameras throughout the district. So all in all, the projects last year totaled about $4.7 million, and the summer 2017 was about $300,000.
So the next steps for this summer are going to be at Diamond Lake and West Oak. So the next 4 slides, you'll see 2 of them are identified as what the projects are listed at Diamond Lake, and then an overview of just some preliminary renderings from our architect, and we'll kind of help you see what it is potentially going to look like. So at Diamond Lake, we're going to renovate our library innovation center. We're going to do the corridors, all the hallways that you see on this slide. So similar to what we did at West Oak, all the hallways will be redone in a very similar pattern. The classrooms that are currently not air conditioned right now will be air conditioned, and then also the student cafeteria will all be renovated as well. So that's what the renderings show you. Over spring break, we had playground equipment replaced as well and installed over at Diamond Lake, so it's going great. And then this summer we'll also have seal coating and restriping of the parking lot, and along with that will be an updated parent and bus pickup and drop off pattern. So communication will be going out closer to the start of next school year, so parents can see the new patterns and the new timing of when students can get dropped off.
Hold on, back up, but they can see that. What do you mean they can see that? Are they going to see
like a map?
Map as part of their information?
Right.
Like what they did for Fairhaven?
Hopefully we do a little bit more of a live drawing. So if you look here, this is to the left is what the cafeteria is going to look like, a dollhouse version of it at Diamond Lake, as well as on the right is the, yes, my right, as you're looking at it to the right, is an overhead view of what the Innovation Center is going to look like at Diamond Lake. So you can see some breakout spaces, you can see it's a lot more interactive and a lot more open for the students over at Diamond Lake, as well as large group spaces.
Are there stairs? So
you're looking at it from the ceiling.
I see. Yes, okay. Makes more sense.
At West Oak campus, a very similar version of the view. We are going to renovate the Library Innovation Center. We're also going to renovate some classrooms that are around the library. So there's going to be 3 classrooms in that area that you can see, as well as 2 science rooms that will be completely renovated. Mechanical improvements with some ductwork, and some HVAC work, as well as lighting and ceiling grids. We're going to do the large gym renovations with flooring and painting, as well as new scoreboards and bleachers and some improvements to the stage area. The gym will also have new locker rooms with flooring and new lockers, as paint and updated bathrooms. And then if you saw it when you pulled up, if you weren't blinded by the sun, was the West Oak Intermediate Playground. So we have a new playground system, and hopefully it'll be all finalized by Friday. And then as well as with the district office at both West Oak Intermediate and Middle School office renovations. And if you can see at the bottom, it's pointed to be about $3.9 million with the referendum. So that is the area that's being affected. That's the whole school view. And if you go to the next slide, similar to Diamond Lake, to the left is when you will be walking in to West Oak Middle School. And if you, probably better, I'll just show you over here. There's a lot of details in it. So this will be the front door when you're walking in. This will all be some new furniture. There'll be some breakout spaces in this area right here. They've kind of done some things, but we'll have some breakout areas here where kids can go and hang out in the morning, as well as work in small groups during the day.
When you say breakout areas, you mean places to sit?
Places to sit, places to do some work, places to gather in the morning or after school or during the day with teachers. There'll be a new entrance into the cafeteria. So all be glass. So where the trophy case is right now will be entrance into the cafeteria, so you'll be able to walk in straight through here. This will all be renovated and improved in here with new furniture, as well as with lighting and ceiling and stage improvements.
So they're actually like removing wall where the trophy case is?
Mm-hmm. It'll be doors that open up, and nice big glass doors. And then right now we're currently in Siemens offices. It'll be divided into, at the back area of the library storage. This will be 5 breakout areas, as well as a kind of common area here for kids to sit and work. This is another, then we're going into the library. Am I looking at it the right way? Yep, library. Classroom area for West Oak Middle School, for intermediate school. So this will be the library area for the large groups classroom. So we'll be on the other side of where Miss Siemens' room is. And then on this side is another bird's eye view of the Innovation Center, and you can see there's brand new breakout spaces, classroom spaces, as well as small group breakout spaces. So that's where the interventionists, special ed resource teachers, and language support teachers on the middle school side will be able to work.
Sorry, Bob, and I left out one more thing too. We're doing a new fitness room as well this summer.
So fitness room will be this current location, but they're all we try to do as many projects as we could that were going to affect as many students as possible. So that's why the Innovation Center, the gym, and the cafeteria where we're spending a lot of our resources, because every child is going to be in that space every single day. So we thought that was where we should prioritize. So in summary, Mr. Rogers and I, as well as Mr. Preble and some other members of the DLT, when needed, are meeting with the construction partners and kind of finalizing, colors, designs, and timelines. And then from there, I'm going to let Mr. Rogers conclude with what the future holds when we're done with these projects. What's our next steps? Because we want to continue on the path of updates and improvements.
Yeah, so bids came in really favorably for the summer's work, so we were able to still have about $1 million left from our referendum to do projects outside of the scope we presented you. That includes doing the gym and the locker room that we originally weren't planning on doing. So the biggest bulk of our remaining funds are going to be devoted to classroom spaces. So that's improving the technology, new furniture, and just giving an overall improvement to be really more of a 21st century classroom. So we're getting budget figures together now on all the furniture costs. We have all the technology and all the other components. So we're going to be wrapping that up, and we're going to be allocating a certain number of grade levels per year, and hopefully we can do that over a 2 to 3 year span. There's still remaining HVAC upgrades, anything from some new plumbing, some electrical upgrades, things like that were not on the summer scope. So we'll incorporate that in the next few years. The West Oak roof is going to need to be replaced in the next 5 to 10 years. So we're going to be looking at rolling out different sections. So we'll probably do like a third of the building at a time, because that's going to have a really high cost. And so there's fire alarm upgrades we're going to be doing, and really just focusing on any remaining items that the students touch and see on a daily basis. So just incorporating as many upgrades as we can that help students on a daily basis. So we'll be presenting a 3 to 5 year facility plan for June.
So how did you make decisions about when you said, okay, everything is coming in and under budget? You celebrated and said, all right, now what do we do with $1 million? How did that process go in terms of deciding what to do with it?
Well, that's still the process we're in right now. So that's developing what I'm referring to as a 3 to 5 year plan. We're hoping it's going to be a 1 to 3 year plan where we can get a lot of stuff done early on, but seeing how much we want to devote to classroom spaces, multiplying that by how many classrooms we have, that's going to be kind of our goal. How much HVAC projects do we want to do, how much we want to devote to roof, and how much we want to devote to classrooms. So we may decide, instead of devoting $200,000 or $300,000 a year locally from our O&M fund, we could issue a debt certificate and get $2 to $3 million that we pay off over a 10-year span. We do all the work at once. I think it's just seeing where the priorities lie with the remaining projects. And so that's something we're going to have here soon. We'll do during the next school year and then the following summer.
So we're getting a lot of things done, which is wonderful. Part of the challenge that got us into this space is that for good reasons, I guess, or good intentions, prior boards had used all the funds on the education fund and transportation and some of these other things that were required for operations. And so we had a lot that needed to get done, and we were fortunate enough to pass the referendum. We can't guarantee that will happen again in 5, 10, 15 years. And so the question is, what are we doing in the budget to make sure that not only the decisions we're making now will last us a long time, but also that we will continue to do more upgrades than we have been doing for the last several decades.
Yeah, absolutely. So the two biggest components of our O&M budget is the service side, that kind of we're devoted to working with vendors, doing general services, and then the capital projects budget. So the capital project budget is really new construction. Those are the new upgrades that we're going to be doing, and those will be in the 3 to 5 year plan. The service side of the budget is what we do. We incorporate every single year to keeping our facilities running and then doing preventative maintenance on top of that. So that's the biggest component of the O&M budget from my perspective, is keeping things running and doing preventative maintenance, which we haven't done. There's been large gaps where we have left our HVAC equipment and just said, you know what, I'm sure it's going to be fine, and just let it run and run and run. And it's been working, but it's been poorly maintained. So we've got a really good guy in place with Chris Thibodeau. He's first thing on his mind is preventative maintenance. We have some new software that helps us do a functioning PM program, so we know we're replacing filters and belts, maintaining this equipment. So I think that is really one of the most important focal points. We know we're not going to get this money again, so spending it wisely and then maintaining what we got.
Are we worried about when we see roof replacement and fire alarm upgrades? Those seem to be pretty critical things, at least the way that you read them in the list. And are we worried that they're not part of our media plan? We're pushing it for another few years.
Great question, and that's really why we identified Diamond Lake last year. We felt that was a critical roof replacement. We had 2 different analyses done on our roof here at West Oak, and they said, you know, we have 5 to 10 good years left on this as long as it's properly maintained. We'll have to put a little bit more work into the repairs each year, but it's going to be a $2 million hit to do this roof alone. So that's why it's going to be important that we're doing sections at a time, so we don't say, hey, taxpayers, we need to pass another referendum to do the work, or do the roof or something like that. So it's staging it properly so we can do it in a reasonable amount of time, but at the same time, we don't want to do it too early where we're replacing the roof now, we still have a few more years left. So we're really trying to devote the resources to the most focal concerns right now, and that's going to be a critical part of our 5-year plan, is making sure we don't spend all the money on classrooms and say, whoops, we need to do the roof now.
Eric, are there any other potential sources for funding for some project like that other than local money?
Yes, there's some of the fire alarm upgrades. There are potential to use what's referred as life safety money. So it's a certain fund that we have that you can only devote resources that have been approved by an architect and approved by the state. So we present a 10-year life safety plan. The architect has to sign off on it, and the state approves it. If you do that, you can levy money to the life safety fund and then spend it on those approved projects. One of which could be fire safety, fire alarm upgrades. Our systems are all functioning properly. There are certain upgrades that have came out in the last few years that are like vocal strobes and horns that'll present information rather than just blaring really loud. You can have specialized announcements and things like that. So it's not something immediate that we need to address, but it's something that we can use life safety funds for, and it's something we're going to work with our architect. Because we have about $500,000 sitting in our life safety fund, and no projects are currently due with that money.
As you think about 3 to 5 years, have you done any more consideration about exploring solar panels?
Yeah, we've definitely explored solar panels. The cost of putting in a panel array is much too great for our funds right now. But there's another thing, it's called a PPA, it's a power purchasing agreement. It's an agreement that you can partner with a company. They pay to put it on your roof. It costs us nothing, and we get a discount on our kilowatt, per kilowatt cost for electrical. So we can do a PPA. It's obviously, although a 20-year span, it's not beneficial to us investing that money in a solar panel, but it's costs us nothing to put it in with no risk, and we're still able to save a good amount of money. So it's something we're exploring since we just put the roof in at Diamond Lake, and then as we upgrade the roof at West Oak, that's a good time to do it. But it has to be on a new roof, but it's something we're definitely exploring, and we talked to a couple companies about that.
As you explore that, will you just explore any impact on insurance that goes on?
Yeah, you need to make sure your roof can hold the weight, and you're right, there are a couple of insurable items. It
impacts fire and the ability to put out a fire. So it could impact insurance coverage or insurance premium.
Well, that's a good point. I don't think you talk to these companies, they talk about all the positives. There's a couple negative aspects. I've heard about that a little bit, but I'll explore more. Some of the positives as well, protects your roof, so your roof lasts longer. It's kind of a plus and minus with that one, but no, I'll follow up with some more information about that. It will be a big part of what we potentially do.
I've said it before, and this will be the last time I ever say this. Is there anybody we can call to beg, plead with about, especially since we're doing the Diamond Lake traffic and parking lot, about those poles? I'm happy to do the call, just if I don't know who to do. I don't know who to call. Can you guys look into that? You did call? You
Yeah, we've got
Thank you.
We've got some advice from our architects on that. I wouldn't say it's the most, favorable outlook on them, but there's a lot of hoops you need to jump through with getting a village ordinance passed to move this kind of stuff. So we kind of put it on the back burner as we shift our plans with the parking lot, but I think we'll talk about that and see what we can do, because that'll be the dedicated visitor lot next year for what we're thinking of.
Slow and steady pressure.
We'll just,
Pass that torch.
if it gets knocked down, somebody's gonna have to put it back up. So.
You said village, it's not village, right? It would be the county.
County.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, we just wanted to update you as to what the progress that has been done, what we have planned for this summer, and then that, I think to your point, Lisa, that we're not going to stop this ongoing project, improving our facilities, maintaining our facilities, so we don't end up in the same situation that we were, and then just always have a continuous budget and a plan for every year updating a 5-year plan. And then also getting those classrooms updated update will probably be in June once construction starts. So we just wanted to kind of give you a little preview and a status update of what we have going on this far.
All right, so concluding the presentation, we move on to the business agenda. These are items for discussion, and one of them is for action. First up is the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and or non-controversial and will be approved on motion. Anyone, board member, staff, administrator, or citizen wishes to have a separate vote on any items, that item or item will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves omnibus vote agenda items A through E as listed. Any questions or comments about the omnibus vote agenda? Right, that will be up for action at our next meeting. Next item has to do with the change in the school year end. Be it resolved, the district leadership team recommends that May 31st, 2019 be used as an emergency day for the weather days taken on November 6th, 2018, January 28th, 2019, January 30th, 2019, and January 31st, 2019, as indicated in the 1819 district calendar. Comments and questions on this?
The one day.
It should say it should say that this should be the last day of school because of the 4 emergency days being used. So initially, right now, the calendar says that it's the Friday before. I'm looking at the calendar. It is currently the last day of school is Friday, May 24th. And there's no school on Monday, May 27th. So because we used 4 emergency days, as indicated in November and January, that we were going to take the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st as emergency days. And so the last school day will be the 31st. So we'll update that language for your action next time.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yes.
Like coming back.
So yes, 4 days.
Next up is a personnel item, and this one is for action tonight. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the personnel items as depicted on the agenda. This is a new hire for a West Oak 5th grade dual language, covering the leave of absence. Yep. So it's just a substitute. Very valuable substitute. Comments, questions on this item? May we have a motion to approve?
Candela?
Yes.
Zephyr? Bordeaux? Hale? Halman?
Yes.
Castler, yes. Walker? Yaffe?
Yes. That concludes our business agenda for the evening. Next up is board discussion. Items for board discussion. We have previously put out the calendar of the events over the next several board meetings. We have, I don't have it open, but we have this meeting, the election is today. So we will have new board members joining us. The next board meeting is the 16th. That is the current board. That's our farewell as this current board. The following meeting is the first week of March, or I'm sorry, May. May 7th. Is it Thursday? This is 2019. No, this is May 7th.
It's 7th and 21st.
Usually I'm off. So,
Sorry.
May 7th, that night we do need to have a board quorum of this current board. And I think we've had this conversation offline, but just to reiterate, I will not be here. Mr. Kessler is going to lead us in having the new board members take their oath. And then current board members who are here can go no longer. Any comments or questions about how that's going to go down?
So I'm going to provide this.
So it'll be very exciting. Any other board discussion? All right, there is one freedom of information request. Comments or questions on this item? Notices of communications? Do we have any public comments on any other items? Do we have any others? Oh, yeah. Has anyone seen that education efficiency bill that was just passed by the House in Illinois? So it's a bill to consolidate school districts. And it's a bill essentially to look at, because Illinois has so many tiny school districts as opposed to, you know, a high school plus elementary school district. And I just wondered if we had heard anything from our attorneys on it, or if we had any idea if it was going to get any traction in the Senate.
That I don't know. I do know that you have to have a certain number of voters that have to sign a petition in order for it to be active, but I don't know where that's sort of the legal premise for it.
Sure.
In order for it to become even something that we can vote on, like you, as a voting item when you're actually going to elections.
Yeah, so I mean, the bill itself says that it's similar to the process now, where essentially you have to do referendums, whatever, to get it supported. But I was just curious about that because obviously we're a tiny district, and I would think that we would be a district that would be potentially looked at for this. Like some of the criticism that I've heard, not really criticism, but the concerns that I've heard about the bill are that if you consolidate with the high school district, then you're looking at having to raise the salaries of maybe the elementary school teachers to be more in line with the high school, depending on what high schools you would be consolidated with. That might be a large, you know, pay gap that you would have to kind of fill. So anyway, I think, right, yeah. So I just think I guess it's something for us to watch.
I am looking at it. No, I haven't heard anything from our attorney, but I can just follow up next time we talk to them, see if they have anything like current to share.
Okay. And that particular issue's been a recurring theme of whatever, yes. In terms of why there's not more consolidation happening. Yes. And it apparently passed unanimously in the Illinois House. Yes, but I think that it was likely going to the streets. All right, any others? Are we at this door? It's a train. Wait, does something? Yeah. All right then. The board is going to adjourn into executive session. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district judicial validity, for collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary structures for one or more classes of employees, and the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the district. May we have a motion to adjourn into executive session? Second.
Kessler, yes. Hale?
Yes.
Bordeaux? Yes. Halpin? Yes. Mandela?
Yes.
Walker? Gaffney?
Yes.